Let's now go back to Ayanda. Ayanda, what's the latest on your side? What have you got for us?
Good morning, Desiree, once again. Well, since the last time we spoke, leaders continue to trickle in here to the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Of course, they've come here, or ANC leaders, I must say, have come here to show their support for the former president. And just a minute or so ago, the secretary of the ANC here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Mdumiseni Ntuli, has also arrived. As you know, earlier on, Desiree was saying that the premier or chairperson of the ANC, Sihle Zikalala, is also and he arrived earlier today, and he's going to be leading the Provincial Executive Committee members that are here to support the former president. I had indicated, of course, that following on the story here today and the developments in and outside the court, I am with my colleague Samgele Masego. Let's just to recap for our viewers who possibly didn't follow or weren't watching this morning in terms of the leaders that came through here today. And of course, more notably, is the suspended secretary of the ANC, Magashule. Samgelo, thanks again for your time. Interesting one, Sam, this morning. The suspended Secretary General of the ANC, Magashule. My question would be, Samgelo, a lot of people have been, when news or rumors started to emerge that he was going to come here to show his support for the former president, a lot of people were asking, this is the first time that he's coming to show the support. I can tell you that this case has sat on at least more than 10 occasions. Why now?
Essentially, he's coming here now because he's also facing a political onslaught within the governing party. He is currently suspended. He has to apologize before the ANC structures and the officials of the governing party for suspending the ANC president, who's currently out in France in that France-Africa economic discussion right now, with President Ramaphosa seemingly being there. So it essentially tells you it comes at a time where he's on the back foot politically. It comes at a time where, for the first time since the ANC was unbanned in 1991 in their first conference at the Durban Westville here in KwaZulu-Natal, that a sitting official of the governing party has taken the ANC to court. And it also comes at a time where mass mobilization is taking place. I can see that some numbers are starting to trickle in here at Market Square to hear that address by the former president of the ANC, Jacob Zuma. It also comes at a time where Magashule himself is trying to employ that tactic that former President Zuma employed about 15 years ago when he was fired as the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa in his ascendance to the ANC throne at that 2007 Polokwane conference. So it's the same tactics that Magashule is employing. And one important figure for me that I was highlighting is that at the time when former President Zuma was fired as the Deputy President of the country, he was charged for fraud and corruption. Subsequently now, Magashule, a year towards the ANC conference, he's charged with fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering, and has gone back to ANC structures to try and mobilize their support going towards the ANC's 55th National Conference. And in this very same region where we are, about 3 meters away from here, at the City Hall, next to Mtadeni Dlungwana, Magashule said it's just a matter of 5 years before the real ANC comes back. Begitele fired back in Vryheid in Abaqulusi region, saying, who are you to give people 5 years? So we are seeing that there is a lineage of those who are aligned politically, who are converging here in court. And Sihle Zikalala, the chairperson of this province, coming out and saying that they engaged national in coming out to support former President Zuma. Clearly, on an election year, you would not want to come and support former President Zuma. It's a mobilization tactic.
Certainly. I mean, Sam, you know that the dynamics in KwaZulu-Natal are different. And I'm just wondering, from what you've said, looking ahead and looking at the split. There's a split in KwaZulu-Natal. The dynamics on the ground probably very different to other provinces. Do you see this tactic of Magashule working in a province like KwaZulu-Natal?
It would also then become, because there is always, one political analyst always said to me, in 2007, it was a convergence of the wounded who clubbed up and removed former President Mbeki. You could see that repeating itself, of those who are wounded, who are outside structures, who've been removed from government and who've been removed from the ANC, coming up together, working together, and working towards reclaiming the ANC that they want and want to use it for whatever purpose that they want to use it for, as opposed to those who are currently in power. One thing comes to mind. Olisi Kaunda, addressing one event in eThekwini recently, said that they will want to remove the ANC from the clutches of white monopoly capital, those who control the economic power of this country. A similar wording to that of Ace Magashule, Supra Muhammapilo, Super Rose Zuma, the provincial secretary of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. Then you've got Mdumiseni Ntuli, whom speaks neutral politics of the ANC and does not take either side. As you heard him also speaking in this very same region about last year, when Ace Magashule said he would never step aside. He went in and lambasted the Secretary General, but also said that the charges that the SG is facing is a debate for another matter, because those charges of oversight, as he referred to them, may not be that strong as they would seem.
Yeah, certainly ANC politics playing out here at this court case. And it seems like the focus is shifting. While, yes, there's a lot of anticipation in terms of what's going to happen inside the court, but I think the majority of the focus is going to be on the outside, the speakers. And we have been told by one of the supporters, or those who are responsible for the mobilization of the former president, Support Nkosi Ntsha, that indeed, once the court proceedings have been concluded, they will go across from the courthouse to Market Square, where the former president is going to be addressing his supporters. And of course, Sam, just on that, just on the point that you're making in terms of the support, the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal have found themselves in a bit of a precarious position in the sense that the NEC made that decision or that ruling that members who want, or leaders, officials who want to come out and show their support for any member who faces charges of corruption must do so in their personal capacity. Of course, the other concern has been from the ANC that in previous events, or when the case, when this case sat, one of the challenges that they've had is the platform, and sort of trying to control those that are going to use that platform, one for their own, for their own personal reasons, but also those that are going to speak negatively about the ANC. You remember Andile Mhlongo, the leader of the BLF, using that platform and that stage to speak negatively of the ANC, and the ANC was concerned about the message that was going out, and particularly because he was addressing members of the ANC.
Essentially, the ANC would want to use a platform like this, because I remember during that time when Andile Mhlongo came to support former President Zuma, was in this very same court. You had Mdumiseni Ntuli, the provincial secretary, saying that they will go and engage the national ANC, that these events of former President Zuma must not be used as a bashing theatre of the African National Congress. Zuma is a former leader of the ANC who still enjoys an incredible amount of support still on the ground here within the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, and he needs to be supported. And that's when the ANC then said, it's fine, you can go to court, but in your individual capacity. The likes of Sipho Hlomuga, the Deputy Provincial Secretary and MEC of Kokta, he used to come here to court. The likes of Kwazi Mshengu, the MEC of Education, he used to be here in court. Today you've got Kuzeni, the provincial chairperson and premier Sihlezi here. You've got Olisi Kaunda here. You've got Super Rose Zuma, who's been in every court case that the former president has appeared in. Then there is a towering figure, the late Mishek Hadebe, who's no more, who had a very close ear of the former president. He's going to be missing him incredibly in this court case. And Supra Muhammapilo, he's been here all along. Then you've got Bongani Bongo today, Thomas Bongo. He's here for the first time to support the former president. He was made the state security minister by former President Zuma in that midnight cabinet reshuffle. So it essentially tells you of how close those two are as well. And then, of course, you've got the Secretary General of the ANC, Ace Magashule, who's suspended currently. He's been in the same core within former President Zuma for a very long time. He was part of what was then dubbed the infamous Premiers League, who was there and which has since disintegrated. So these figures who are coming to court are essentially saying that, yes, fine, the ANC said we must not go there, but we are here today. About 15 years ago, when former President Zuma was first charged, Tony Yengeni was here alongside Zweli Mkhize, alongside Zweli Nzimavavi, alongside Dumo Dlamini, alongside Lady Nzimande. Those figures, that with the change of politics, they are all not here today, some of them. But others throughout the years have continued their support for former President Zuma. But it does not take away that at the time there was a battle raging within the African National Congress of those who had been removed from government, those who had been removed from structures of the ANC, fighting against what they then termed gear. But today you've got different division. You've got a suspended Secretary General who's trying to mobilize support in the ANC in order to try and reclaim it, in the words of those who are close to him.
And just speaking about the Secretary General, Samgele, I mean, you remember that he has been more present in KwaZulu-Natal. I mean, you remember when members of the Mkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans Association here in KwaZulu-Natal blockaded the roads in the city of Durban, going to the ANC in protest outside the ANC offices, of course, with a list of demands that related to the former MK soldiers. Within days of the call being made that they wanted to see the secretary, Magashule arrived in the province, gave them an entire day to sit down with them and listen to their grievances. Of course, they've been delegations from KwaZulu-Natal that we understand have been going to Luthuli House, and he has been giving them the space and the time to listen to them. Could all of that have been him now, Sam, saying, I need KwaZulu-Natal. This is a very, very important province to have support or to be backed by this province. I mean, we're now looking at each of these events leading up to what has happened now. And one can clearly say he visited the home of the former president to have tea, to meet with the former president. Of course, that was to get advice in terms of the step-aside resolution. We saw members of Mkhonto weSizwe were coming out, and they've now said, hands off Magashule, we are now throwing all our support to the suspended Secretary General. And
anyone who would think that this is not a build-up to the 55th National Conference of the ANC next year in 2022 would simply be kidding themselves. In KwaZulu-Natal, we've got 11 regions. All of those regions are outdated. They've got to go to regional conferences. As we speak, branch bi-general meetings, BGMs, of the ANC across the country in all 54 regions of the ANC, in all 4,300 branches that are currently taking place. About 2,300 have already gone to their branch general meetings, with ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa saying they are now ready to go to a National General Council, which basically means he's now ready to hold an NGC. You've got Magashule, who's trying to mobilize support. Anyone who's gunning to replace any former president of the ANC or to take any leadership position in the officials of the governing party does need a significant support of KwaZulu-Natal. It is for the first time that the ANC at the 54th National Conference, when they divided and they lost heavily. There is no sitting official of the ANC or in the ANC from KwaZulu-Natal at this point in time. So they would want to regroup, but also Magashule does know that in order for you to win an ANC conference, you do need regions of KwaZulu-Natal. You do need a huge support. Hence, you've seen him backing the likes of Zandile Kumete in eThekwini region, backing the likes of Mthandeni Dlungwana here in the Moses Mapita region. So it essentially tells you that he is building a significant relationship with some of those who are in the structures of the ANC in the province, so that once the nomination process for the 55th National Conference begins, or when delegates go to the National General Council of the ANC, they can then be able to do whatever they want to do, either to speak on this issue of step aside, which has affected the Secretary General, or speak on the issues of the resolution, such as nationalizing the Reserve Bank, the formulation of the State Bank, and also land expropriation without compensation, which they've been saying that some resolutions within the governing party are being sidestepped, and only this issue of step aside is being implemented. And how far is government in the implementation of free, quality, decolonized higher education, which was a resolution of the ANC in the 2007 Polokwane conference, subsequently implemented by former President Zuma on the eve of the 54th National Conference. So all ANC leaders across all three factions, which the Premier and the provincial chairperson of the ANC in Limpopo, Stanley Chupuma Tabata, articulates, it is CR17, it is Magashule RET, and subsequently there is a new core that is seemingly being formed by those in the know of two officials, two gentlemen in the ANC, in the officials. So it essentially is that this party is in tatters, and there are three groupings that are at war with itself, and others are saying that they may be some sort of something being planned by those who are in support of the Secretary General. As you've seen, there have been allegations that the RET is an organization within an organization operating at the 6th floor at Luchuli House, led by Ace Magashule and Carl Niehaus.
And just speaking of the RET, Samgele, I mean, there was that directive that was issued by the NEC distancing itself from the radical economic transformation champions. But in fact, the gatherings here and the support for the former president, those that mobilize that support are those that have come out to say that they are part of the radical economic transformation group. And in fact, we understand that the stage that is going to be set up, the buses and the taxis that have been brought here have been organized by the radical economic transformation champions. That directive, speaking about...
I can see an important figure from Mpumalanga, Ngrai Ngwenya, in those visuals that we are seeing. That particular individual hails from Mpumalanga, a staunch supporter of Deputy President D.D. Mabuza. Ngrai Ngwenya, he is here, and it tells you of that delegation that day that you saw going into Nkandla in former President Jacob Zuma. That delegation was Ngrai Ngwenya, Patson Jomane, a strong, significant support of the Deputy President of the ANC, D.D. Mabuza, in that province. If you speak of Ngrai Ngwenya, many people say you are speaking of former President Jacob Zuma. You can also see Nomakuku Simelani Zulu as well, the MEC of Health in the province, the former spokesperson of the ANC in the province. She's now going into court right now to support the former President Zuma.
Interestingly, with the Nomakuku Amase, she's also been consistent in her support. Although many of the time she's wanted to take a step back, and as you can see, members of the media trying to grab her there. She has not wanted to be in the forefront, allowed the leaders of the ANC to speak on behalf of the ANC, but she has been very much consistent in coming here and showing her support for the former president. One person, Samgelo, that we might have missed or that I have not seen is the former mayor of eThekwini, Zandile Kumete. She will probably, no doubt, I would believe that she is going to be here, because I did see some of those that work very closely with her. One of her drivers, I did see him early on. So it'll be interesting. I think that's one face that we are still missing insofar as the leaders here in eThekwini, in KwaZulu-Natal, and particularly leading the eThekwini region. I mean, from the onset, she has received a great deal of support in herself from the former president as well.
Indeed, I've seen Stwala as well. I'm sorry to call him by Stwala, but I know him as Stwala from Ward 32 around the Durban University of Technology. I've seen him here. He's a very close ally of Zandile Kumete, the former mayor of eThekwini. He's always in her court cases at the Durban Magistrates Court. So I would be particularly interested to see what time she arrives here, if she is arriving, particularly knowing that it was Ace Magashule who was defending Zandile Kumete on the disbandment of eThekwini region, trying to persuade the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, persuade National not to disband that particular region, when the RTT of that region was constituted with the late Mbuleleki Ndobe being the convener of that region and Zandile Kumete being the deputy convener, Pegintuli being the deputy coordinator to Kwazi Mshengu. So it essentially tells you that the politics of the ANC within that region are also going to play out here in court. And it would be interesting to see the relationship of Zandile Kumete and Sihle Zikalala, knowing how she feels about Sihle Zikalala of late and the politics of the 2018 DUT conference and subsequently everything that played out after that. So it essentially tells you that Zandile Kumete may be making her way here, or she has indeed called former President Zuma to pledge her support if something has held her up. Yeah,
definitely. She is someone that will be looking at seeing and possibly chatting to her, although she tends to run away from us from time to time, but we'll definitely try. She's also going to be quite important to hear her views. And as Samgele was saying, of course, the regions of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal are also preparing for their regional conferences, and Zandile Kumete is wanting to contest that position of chairperson of the ANC's largest region, eThekwini. We're going to leave things here for now, Desiree, and take things back to you. The court proceedings, we understand, are expected to start at around 10 a.m. This morning, as I said, former President Jacob Zuma has arrived just around 8:30 this morning, and the representative of the French arms company Thales, Mr. Jean-Pierre, he has also arrived for the start of the trial today. Desiree?
Ayanda, thank you so much for that interaction between yourself and Samkele. Interesting what he's saying, that this could be a lead up to the 55th ANC conference. As we look at the people who are present in the courtroom there, we're showing you live footage coming from outside the court. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala there. Ayanda did allude earlier on to the speculation that Advocate Thabani Masuku SC might be representing President Jacob Zuma, but of course that's still yet to be confirmed, and also saying that we've seen him previously representing the former president. We've also seen him at the State Capture Commission, but also that Judge Piet Koen will be presiding today, and Advocate Billy Downer SC also there. But of course, all of those confirmations coming out later on.